Toast here with another repaint video. This is not my Swamp Thing. I actually got this from Wilson of Shocknaut Toy Reviews. You may have seen him on one or two of our podcast videos, but we reviewed this on Shocknaut a few months ago, and he was happy with it. I thought it was kind of a too uniform green. I thought it could have used more paint, as I feel like about many McFarlane toys. So this had been sitting in the Shocknaut studio for a few months, and a couple of weeks ago, I just borrowed it from him and asked if I could repaint it. He said yes, and I have done that. So much like Hydrostopper, I did this primarily while watching TV with my wife, and I think I'm done with it now, and I want to give this back to him, so I am shooting a quick video, and I will go over the things that I did with this. So the first thing I did was to give his body a black wash, and I used this paint marker to do so. I actually just used bottle caps for this, so I put a bit of paint into one of these, water it down, and then brush out of this. I did cover his entire body. I wanted to bring out some of this sculpted detail. There is a ton of it, and I just wanted to make sure that none of it got lost. Up next, I went and added brown. This is actually oak brown, which I thought was fitting to everything that I thought looked like bark. So there is this texture that's all over his body, most obviously on his shoulders and I believe butt, and then it's also on his legs in places. So I added a brown to all of that, and eventually I went back over and I used a lighter brown to bring out some of the highlights. So that is the two-tone brown that you see there. As far as the greens go, I used many, and I actually put my paints away before shooting this video, so I don't remember exactly everything I used, but I did use also a green wash just to mix things up a bit. I believe this is the set of greens that I used. All of these are war paints, but it is a variety of greens. At one point I did, especially after the dark wash, I thought his body was too dark. So I went through and using these two, I believe, greens, more so this one, I went through and I spotted. I wanted to add a lighter green wherever possible, just to break up the darkness of his body. That was entirely on me, because the washes did darken up his body quite significantly, so I went through and targeted areas to lighten them up. I did also target this stuff here, so there's a texture here that I think looks like broccoli. I did try to make that broccoli colored, in my opinion, and yeah, I just did a variety of greens all over his body. I did try to texture match. So if I did one texture in one color, I tried to do that all over his body. But the main thing I was trying to accomplish was one, color breakup. Just because there is a ton of texture on him, I wanted to highlight some of that, certainly. And then the other piece was just to achieve a more color breakup. So certainly the browns help with that, and then lighter and darker greens do as well. I did want to do these flowers on the back as well, and for those I used a yellow, and as pretty much everyone says, it is difficult to paint yellow. So I got a couple of coats of yellow before I actually switched to an orange, just to make sure that all of the green was covered up, and then I did a bit more yellow to get it the color I wanted. I put a tiny black wash in there just to bring out the details again, and I'm pretty happy with those. I did want, something just to pop. And speaking of that, this was the final thing I painted, is there's these sculpted nodules in here, and I figured I could either make those buds and do them red, or make them thorns and brown, and I thought there was enough brown already on this. There is some more here on the back of the calf. So for those I used a red, and I think it really pops. I mean, he's a clearly green figure. The brown already pops quite a bit on him, and then once you start looking for details, you see things like the red and the yellow, and I think I am done with this now. There actually is a couple of things that I would do, and I've got 2 more days before I see Wilson again, so I might do a bit more. But I had someone ask me recently when I knew I was done with a toy, and it's hard to tell sometimes. I'm usually done to a point of satisfaction, and then if I look at it again later, I might want to do additional work. So it is definitely an internal satisfaction level as far as doneness, and then that can change over time. So I am done with this to my satisfaction, and the nice thing is now I get to give it back. I did repaint one of his Transformers a couple of years ago, maybe 2? I don't remember. Certainly before we had this channel, so I didn't shoot any video for that. I do have some before and after pictures though, but I essentially battle damaged him, and it's really nice just to let it leave the house, and then you never have to look at it again, and I never feel the need to retouch the paint later, which is how I feel on some of my other figures. Lastly, I think I am pretty terrible about taking before pictures, so when I am done, I can't do before and after, but in the case of both Hydra Stomper and Swamp Thing, I was able to borrow somebody else's untouched toy, and so I went over to Dan's house a few days ago, and he opened his Swamp Thing. We took some pictures side by side of those, so you can see exactly side by side what I have done versus an untouched Swamp Thing. And as I've said before, I am happy with this. I've received some compliments from the people that have seen it, so Dan and Berg and Wilson. Wilson and Berg of Shock and Awe have both seen an earlier version of this before I had finished certainly the second layer of brown, but then some of the greens as well, and the flowers. So they had seen when I had essentially flatted it in artistic coloring terms, but I'm happy with it. Other people seem to like it, and I thought perhaps I should do a video for it, so that other people can see at least which paints I used. I would like to get to a point where I get back to actually filming the painting process, similar to what I did with Azrael. I do have a figure, a toy, I should say, in mind for doing that, and that will be coming up at some point. I don't know which figure I am customizing next. Dan has an outstanding video coming up. He is finishing a project now, and certainly look forward to that. We will have more customizing videos, both from myself and from Dan, so we should have regular content on that front. What I'm trying to say is, if you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe if you like this content. Drop a comment if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.